This podcast is being sponsored by the Rise Up Project.
Trust the process. Pain is power. All great things take time. I am unbreakable. Unbreakable.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Unbreakables Podcast, episode 12. I am your host, Jay, and today I have the pleasure of sitting down with a two-time Tedx Speaker, mental health advocate, four-time best-selling author. Please help me welcome Megan Gallagher. I hope I said your last name right.
Yes, no, you said it perfect. Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
No problem. Like I said again, thank you again. I really appreciate it. But like what I really like to do before I get started, I always want to start off a little bit with your childhood and really transition into what led you to where you are today.
Yeah.
And, just in case both of our audiences, if my audience isn't aware, at least they can kind of get a little more insight about you.
Yes. So I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area my whole entire life, born and raised. And I grew up in an amazing household, really positive, really supportive, very loving and fun. Like, while we're cooking dinner, we're having dance parties and super goofy and upbeat. And I remember when, as young as I can remember, about 5 years old, I remember always feeling like I was sick, like physically sick with like a stomach ache. And at that age, I was so young, I didn't even know what was going on, but I would always tell my mom in elementary school, call in sick, I can't go to school, my tummy hurts, my arm hurts, something's wrong. And as I got older throughout middle school, I kind of had more body awareness of, okay, so this is what's going on, my body, this is me, this is my personality. And then as soon as high school came around, my freshman year of high school, I vividly remember my first physical panic attack. And I'm sure I was having panic attacks when I was younger too, but for some reason, freshman year of high school was just such a trigger for me. And it was just a lot of change and a lot of, are you ready to be an adult? Are you ready for college? And I was like, I'm 13. All of these questions that made me really just insecure of people saying, do you know what you want to do with your life? And all this stuff. So I got really freaked out. And my first panic attack that was big enough for me to know, whoa, okay, this is a thing. Like something is happening in my body. Freshman year of high school, I was 13, 14 years old. And then from then on, my body kind of anticipated that feeling would happen every single day in every single class. Yeah, because for me, I inherited its hereditary anticipatory anxiety from my dad. So my mind, wanted to kind of anticipate that, oh, it's 11 a.m. It's English class. You know what to do, body. And I was going to feel the same way. So it was a really challenging time, but thankfully I have a really supportive family, which I feel so grateful for. And as I've grown up myself, I've realized how big of a blessing that really is, just a family that will support you no matter what and love you and be there for you and to not judge you too, because things like anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, body image issues, everyone goes through it, regardless if you're famous, if you have $10 billion, if you drive a Lamborghini, it doesn't matter. It doesn't discriminate. It does, everyone feels, we're all human beings. So for me to have a family that just never judges and I can call them up at any time of day and say, hey, you know, I'm feeling weird. I feel kind of funky. I feel like I'm in a rut. I've realized how big of a blessing that really, really is. But so for about 10 months, I experienced those episodes at the beginning of high school. And then towards the end of sophomore year, I kind of realized, you know, I think something is wrong and it's scaring me, because I would start the day off feeling amazing. I would drive to school, and then first class, I'd be like, dang it, it's happening again. And I just kind of I felt like I was in a twilight zone of, why am I doing this to myself every day? And what am I getting out of this? And, you know, I would call my mom, run to the nurse's office, because I thought I was having like a heart attack or something. So I would call my mom crying, and she'd be like, Megan, it's anxiety. I mean, she let me come home, I think, 2 times out of my whole 4 years of high school. But it just, for me personally, high school was where my anxiety was at its absolute worst. Mm-hmm. But I really think it's just how I felt being kind of, you know, ready for college, being pushed off. And I felt like I was being, you know, shuttled. Okay, you ready for an adult and to, you know, live on your own. And I wasn't ready. And I think that overwhelmed me, just all the change that would come with being an adult and how am I going to function on my own. And so towards the end of sophomore year of high school, I got a therapist, and it happened because I told my mom and my dad after dinner one night, hey guys, you know, I'm feeling this way and I don't know what to do about it. Every day in class, I feel a pit in my stomach. I feel like I want to throw up. I clutch, you know, my desk, and the room starts spinning in circles. And then I asked my teacher, and I told them, I just kind of, this is like a year after just letting it bottle up inside and never telling anyone. Even though I know my parents now, they knew all along. They knew I was always the anxious, more sensitive child than my sister. I was always more, you know, just, I don't know, just more, yeah, just like more anxious. So
looking at that, was it hard for you to realize that you did have anxiety issues at that time? Like, was it hard for you to be vocal about it?
Yes, it was really hard because I was so afraid of not being liked by people, and people knowing, oh my gosh, Megan has a weakness. You know, she's not perfect. Because I used humor, and like in my friend group, I was the class clown. Like I was the goofball. And that was just a way for me to deflect my anxiety fully. And although it was a good coping mechanism, you know, thankfully I didn't do drugs or drink alcohol, but I really just used humor as a way of, so people wouldn't have to ask, oh, how's Megan doing? You know, because she's always happy.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, she's always excited. So her life must be great. And then I just realized in therapy that mechanism, that, you know, protection, it's a way for me to protect myself, so I don't have to, so I can avoid the deep conversations with people of, well, Megan, like, how are you? You never really talk about yourself, what's going on. But I still loved helping other people, even though I was experiencing a lot and I had no idea what was going on. But I would just go throughout my day, you know, still being funny, still on the outside looking happy, but on the inside, I felt every day like I was dying. And I felt it was awful. But therapy really, really, really helped me kind of understand who I am and the thoughts that I was having, and how our thoughts are just so powerful. So that's a little bit about my journey. And then after high school, I moved down to LA, did community college for a little bit, I wasn't happy. Academics was never my thing in high school either or anything. So I went to community college for a little bit, wasn't happy. And then I also had this crazy out of nowhere health scare. And that kind of was a spiritual awakening almost, where I was like, I'm not happy, and this is a great time for me to really stop and think, what are my passions, and to not feel, I'll just, go to college just to buy some time and just, I don't know what I want to do. I think all along I have always known what I wanted to do. It scared me because it wasn't the traditional college route, but
society wants.
Yeah, so I've been in LA ever since, and yeah, it's been a crazy ride.
That's awesome. Okay, so going back just a little bit, anxiety, it's one of those things where not many people like to talk about it, right?
Yes.
Especially even when it comes to mental health. So
yes.
When I talk to you, I think of, for instance, my little sister. Okay, my daughter is 16 years old, and I feel like I'm able to relate to her a little bit because for me, I've never really suffered from any anxiety issues.
Mm-hmm.
I think now as an adult, I may feel certain things, and little do I know I'm having an anxiety attack, but I don't know how to articulate it, right?
Yes.
So for someone, whether it's a teenager, young adult, or even adult that is going through maybe a tough time, hard time, how are they supposed to recognize that it's an anxiety that they're having?
I think the first thing to do is one, however you're feeling, whatever you're doing, is to kind of just stop. Mm-hmm. Either on a piece of paper or your laptop or your iPhone, just write down exactly how you're feeling and to not judge yourself. So if you feel, oh my gosh, I just feel like there's not even words to explain it, because that's how I think anxiety can make people feel, is there's no words to really explain how you're feeling. And you're like, I kind of feel this, I kind of feel funky. Or to also write down, at certain times throughout the day, do you feel a certain way? Because everyone has triggers, and we are creatures of habits. So it's important to really just make a list of, oh my gosh, it's 10:30 a.m. I woke up feeling amazing. But then at work, I always see that certain person that triggers me and kind of sets me off. So I think just doing a little backtracking and writing down exactly what you've done today and how it's made you feel, because I think everyone has that person or that food, that drink. Maybe it's caffeine, and you shouldn't be drinking caffeine because that makes anyone anxious. Or it's just that one family member, or running into your ex-boyfriend, or something that just can trigger people to spiral and then to think, oh my gosh, the world's ending, I'm gonna blow up. So it's important to make a list of your triggers and then how you're feeling at certain points throughout the day, and to just start an open conversation in your family of, is it hereditary? Is it passed down to me? Is it from a childhood trauma? Is it from an accident, maybe a car crash or something, and then now my brain is anticipating it's going to happen again, or I'm going to always think, oh my gosh, getting in a car means pain. Like our minds are just really, 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 really incredible beings that associate things with feelings and memories with, like, our minds are always just trying to associate things with things. So it's important to just stop what you're doing, write down how you're feeling. And if there's no words to explain how you're feeling, I think the best thing to do is just write down, pay attention, notice how your body is feeling. Do you just have that mental check-in of, okay, well, do I have a pit in my stomach? how fast, how fast is my heart beating? Do I feel sweaty, clammy palms? Do I feel like really like I'm tensing up a lot? Do I feel like I'm having a headache? I mean, anxiety can make anyone feel, the list of symptoms is like 300 plus. But I think it's just being self-aware of how you feel when you're at certain places throughout the day. And then you can kind of connect the dots of, oh, so, it's when I see this person at work, in my mind, I start getting annoyed and that changes my mood. So then just starting to really pay attention to how you feel around certain people and situations.
Absolutely. So considering today's age with social media, with everything going on, what would you say are some of the biggest triggers in anxiety for teenagers at this very moment?
I have noticed that anxiety with teenagers is strongly related to social media. Social media is amazing, but it's also so incredibly hard not to compare yourself on it. And it's just one of those things where it has a lot of pros and it's really convenient for growing a business and connecting with people, just like on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat. It's amazing. We can connect with someone in Australia and, we're in California and it's really incredible, but it also just has such a toxic side of, oh my gosh, if one of my triggers is not feeling enough or comparing myself to other people, to other people's bodies, to their lifestyle, to how much money they have, social media is such a slippery slope with, you have to know yourself well enough to put your mental well-being before, thinking, oh, this is good for my business, but also you come first. So for me personally, I know I can compare myself so much to other people. It's not even funny. So I know that social media, I have to take it with a grain of salt and I have to limit my time extremely because I don't want to go into that black hole of like, oh my gosh, wait, I just have been scrolling mindlessly for the past 4 hours. And I'm like, where did the time go? What year is it? Who am I? What's going on? So it's important to just know yourself. But from what I've heard and the teenagers that I've met at schools and online and doing one-on-one sessions over Zoom, it breaks my heart because teenagers are in that time in their life when, they're developing physically, they're going through puberty, emotionally, everything's new to them. And they're kind of this sponge where they're really sensitive to what's around them and they absorb it and then form a characteristic, or that's how they form themselves when they're older. So it's really, really important for teenagers to remember that there are so many things like Photoshop and Facetune. And that's what I tell them when I
especially with the technology that we have today, like
it's insane
on their phones. Like I don't think you could ever see a teenager not on their cell phone.
No, and it's so crazy, but all the teenagers I've spoken to, they just say that, it's really hard when you go on Snapchat and you see that you didn't get invited to a party and you see that your friend on Facebook, they're on a yacht or they're with this person. But I always tell teenagers to remember, one, take it with a grain of salt because this picture that this person uploaded, they could not even be where, that picture could be a month old and then they just uploaded it just to fit the, what looks good on Instagram. People, there's photos, there's so many body altering apps and it's just
what's real nowadays, right?
No, and I feel like I sound weird saying teenagers because I graduated high school in 2014. It was not that long ago, so I grew up with all of this, just as, but I remember personally, I knew that social media, it just made me feel like I was missing out on something and that I wasn't good enough if I didn't get invited to a party or something where people were putting it on their Instagram story. And to also remember, you know, back when social media wasn't around, people still lived. You're not going to die if you don't have an Instagram account. I think people rely off of social media like so much, like their phones become them. But it's like, you know, there was the 1920s and the 1950s when our ancestors didn't have all of this and all of the crazy gizmos and gadgets, and they still lived. You know, it's not, I think it's just the need to keep up with everything. And there's just this addiction that comes with, oh my gosh, the likes in the comments. It feeds this like chemical endorphin thing of, oh my gosh, this person liked my picture and now I have 20,000 followers. And now, oh my gosh. It's just, I think it's great for building a business, and it's kind of a catch 180 to whatever the word is, like catch 182 or something, where it's really cool because it allows creative people to build their own platform, and, you know, they can make YouTube vlogs and they can do makeup tutorials and they can make money. And so it helps creative people follow their passions, but it's just destructive.
There's definitely some pros and cons to it. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I really pride myself on just being real to the teenagers I talk to. I want to remind them that their favorite people, all of these like models and influencers who have like 30 million followers, you know, cause it's real. I have had teenagers who come to me after my talks and we kind of talk on the side, and they'll start crying because they are like, oh my God, you know, Megan, this person, I mean, is this real life? Like they always just they're always happy. I'm like, it's not real. It's a curated thing that they just post. And once again, they could post that they're, you know, on a yacht in Mykonos. And that was 2 years. I'm not kidding. That was 2 years ago. But then today they're just in their sweatpants at home. And I want to make it real to teenagers that that's what it really is. It's just a profile. It's not real life. It's just one click taking a picture, and especially to not judge themselves if they
compare themselves as well, right?
Yeah, to just not judge themselves, to not compare themselves, because once again, it's just a profile. It's just a screen. It's just a click, a picture. And the person that we're judging ourselves or comparing ourselves to, despite, you know, maybe they have 40 million followers. So we think that they're better than us in some way, or that they've accomplished, which is an accomplishment, but it's also important to remember, if you feel like you easily can compare yourself to other people, just to take it with a grain of salt and to really know, one, you know, do I know that? Have I met this person in real life? So is it fair to judge them or to compare myself to them? And two, you know, it's just an accessory. It's not me. I'm not going to die without my Instagram profile. It's just like in addition to my life. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah.
With everything that you've gone through, what really inspired you to do what you're doing now? Like you speaking on TED stages, to speaking to teenagers, like what triggered that? What inspired you to really, that's a whole different level. Yeah.
I would say the main thing that inspired me was just never forgetting how I felt when I was a teenager and how alone, even though I had, you know, a great friend group, and I feel lucky with the household I grew up in. I feel really fortunate. Just how I felt though, I will never forget. And I feel like I'm doing it for like 16-year-old Megan, but I will never forget how I felt in every assembly that my middle school and high school had. You know, we would have all of these people come in and talk about college prep, and here's how to get the best SAT score. Here's how to say no to drugs. Here's how to, you know, all of these things about puberty, about this. I will never forget how many times I would just sit there and think to myself, you know, on the outside, I look fine, but I will never forget how I felt on the inside of just sitting there, literally wishing someone would raise their hand and just kind of spark that conversation that I was not too embarrassed to talk about, but I felt like I was the only one going through it in my whole entire high school, because there were never any open, honest conversations. Every workshop, like career day, I swear, it was never about mental health, self-care, following your dreams. It was just nothing. So I felt like I'm crazy because I'm having these anxious thoughts, and I asked my teacher if I can go to the bathroom, and then I go cry in the bathroom stall. I'm making this up. There was no education about it. So I think I was too afraid to kind of rock the boat and to say something, because even my friend group, I mean, no one talked about, hey, do you guys feel stressed out all the time? So it's just that personal connection of, I know exactly how it feels. And I don't want, now that I've become an adult and I know that I was never the only one feeling that way, I just want to make other teenagers now feel comfortable with, oh my gosh, you know, I want to be that person that sparks that open, honest conversation wherever I speak. And I just want to let teenagers know that they're not alone, and it's not bad. It's not embarrassing. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean anything. And to kind of erase the stigmas that come around mental health. And it's not gross. It's not shameful. It's not anything. It's just, you know, it's just everyone has their own thing. Everyone's different and unique. And just to empower teenagers to love themselves.
And I think it's great what you're doing, and you're being an advocate to these teens and showing them like it's okay to say you have a problem. One, be aware. Two, talk about it, being vulnerable.
Yeah.
That a lot of people struggle with it. No one likes to be vulnerable. No one likes to say, hey, you know, I'm happy, because it's a sign of weakness. But in all reality, it's a sign of strength.
Yeah.
So I think that that's really good what you are doing. And there's not many people that are speaking to the youth as we should be, because it all starts with the youth. So what advice can you give someone, especially teens that are going through a tough time, who feel lost, who feel unfulfilled, or feel like they have no direction in their life?
I would say, one, stop being so hard on yourself, because I mean, I've personally met people who are 70 years old who still don't know what they want to do in their life. It's just the truth of life. We're always evolving. And I think to stop believing in what the school system tends to teach teenagers, which is, oh my gosh, you know, Kate, you're going to graduate high school and then another 4 years in college, and then you're going to graduate and it's going to be X, Y, Z, and then you're going to get married, and then that's not real life. And I want to teach teenagers to be open-minded and to be aware that as humans, we're always changing. So our passions can change, and that's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. And to teach them that, to trust your gut feelings and to love yourself, and to, you know, just go through life with your main priority being what is making me happiest right now, and just doing what makes you literally happy. Because I know that there's so many schools that just teach teenagers, okay, you know, it's going to be very analytical of, you get the good grades, you do that, and then you're set for life. But we're not, as a society, schools are not teaching teenagers and giving teenagers the actual tangible tips of, how do I follow my dreams? How do I make it happen? If I want to become a singer, a dancer, a musician, an actress, a makeup tutorial YouTuber, a rapper, an architect, a baker, a chef, like whatever it is, schools are not giving teenagers that knowledge. And so I think that's why teenagers feel this guilt of, oh my gosh, I feel like a failure because, I went to college and now I'm done, but now I'm living at my parents' house and I don't know what I want to do. And then they put that pressure on themselves to just go get a job, just get a job because, it's bad to have that. But it's just, that's so untrue because I think, wouldn't you rather just get in the habit when you're younger of trusting your passions and doing what makes you happy? So then the rest of your life, you are just set up with the foundation of, okay, so, I know myself so well and I know exactly right away, that's not going to make me happy, that will. And then you just trust that internal compass of this is what makes me feel good. So I'm going to trust that. I would just say to teenagers though, don't be so hard on yourself. You're not a robot. You're a human being. I would say too, make a list, literally on a piece of paper, write down a list of your passions, whatever it is at this age currently, and then make like 2 columns. One list is what are your passions? Another list is what are jobs that I know exist or things that I could make up and be creative that incorporate my passion into it. It's just really important just to know that the purpose of life is just, in my opinion, just do what makes you happy. I don't think that there's anything worse than getting to the end of your life and looking back and being like, wow, I just wasted my whole entire life because I was scared of what other people thought about me, because I was scared of letting down my parents, because I was afraid of, just trusting myself and trusting what I love and trusting my body and just knowing what's best for me. So I just like to tell teenagers, just love yourself and trust that gut feeling, and just life is simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Just do what makes you happy.
Absolutely. And I think I can definitely attest to your point.
Yeah.
There's so much pressure where it's always what society wants, what society expects.
Yep.
Should I go the traditional route of education? But now we're finding that self-education is at our fingertips. And we're able to learn a lot more other things that the education system is not teaching us today.
Yes.
So, and a lot of people, there's a misconception that if you go the formal educational route, you work your corporate 9-to-5 job, you take the straight, steps to success, it's going to bring fulfillment, but without realizing that you're going to find yourself more unfulfilled because you're trying to live up to other people's expectations. Mm-hmm. So I think that, to your point, it's really important that you follow your heart, follow your passion, your purpose, and you'll find more joy in that.
Yes.
So what are some of daily rituals and disciplines that you had to establish to get you to where you are today that has helped you in your successes?
Yeah. I personally love having morning routines and nighttime routines. And I started doing this, I think I was 11 or 10 years old. I've always been really active in my household. I believe that our parents are our first influences of what a relationship looks like and what we should do. And so thankfully, I grew up in a household where we ate really healthy and we were always really active and, going on family walks at nighttime and family hikes on the weekends. So I always noticed, even 10 years old, before I was properly diagnosed with anticipatory anxiety, I always noticed when I was really young how good it felt to run around my backyard with my dog, and then how I felt after of those feel-good endorphins, when you work out and you're like, what am I so worried about? It's like someone, gives you this like amnesia where you forget about your worries and you're like, everything's fine. So
all in your head, right?
it is literally all in your head. And so I had that just connection really early on of, oh my gosh. And then when I go swimming in my pool with my sister or with my dad, I always feel better when I'm moving my body. It just makes me feel like I did something for myself that day. It makes me feel physically strong, but also mentally strong and just really powerful. And I personally feel my best when I work out. I feel my most beautiful. That's when I just no makeup. Like I literally just love the feeling of moving my body, and that's how I connect to my body. So I love movement. And in the morning, right when I wake up, I don't look at any text messages, any emails, nothing. I literally will go to my kitchen. I'll get celery juice, or I'll make some type of homemade fresh squeezed juice. I'll have that. I'll have water. I don't drink caffeine. And then I'll have a healthy, yeah, no, I'm not a caffeine person. It doesn't work for me.
I haven't heard that. No, that's good though. That's good. It's all natural.
Yes, very natural. So, and then I will eat a really healthy breakfast. I don't eat dairy or gluten, or I have not a strict diet, but it's just, I realize my body is really sensitive to food. So I eat pretty clean, pretty plant-based. So I'll just eat, non-dairy yogurt and berries and peanut butter. I like to make bowls. So the
acai bowls.
Yes. But with like peanut butter or almond butter and honey and chia seeds and hemp seeds and like cacao powder. I feel like a scientist. I'm like making it in my kitchen, and then I'll eat that, wait a little bit, do a workout. And then, if I have to check my phone to play music or something, I will, but I've just established this routine so many years of, I know not to look at anything like text or DMs on social media or emails until after I'm done working out. It's just this thing that makes me feel good. It's just this ritual of
first.
Yeah, it makes me feel proud. And then after I work out, and for workout, I love just any type of workout. I love boxing, kickboxing, bar classes, Pilates classes, running, yoga, whatever. I just like to listen to my body, whatever I'm in the mood for. And then workout's done, I'll shower, and then after that, I'll check my phone. And then, it just makes me feel more level-headed. So if someone sends me something and I want to react super quickly, I know it makes me feel better every single time. So I will check my phone, and then I'll do like my hair and my makeup, and then I'll just do what I have to do that day. And running my own business, being an entrepreneur, it changes every day what I have going on. Some days I'm traveling, some days I'm on a TV show, some days I'm recording podcast episodes, blogging, working on a book. It changes. And then my nighttime routine at 7 p.m. every single night, I turn off everything. No TV, no laptop, no electronics, no phone. So people who know me well know it's like, you will not get into contact with me.
The face of the earth, right?
Yes, it's game over. So 7 p.m. and then I usually have, dinner, which is super healthy, basic. I love, just like rice, salmon, veggies, chicken, salad, anything gluten-free or vegan. There's just so many cool recipes that I love to make. And then I will have like a cup of peppermint tea or more water. And then I'll just either, stretch, roll out my body. I have like a Theragun machine, or I'll do a face mask, and I'll just listen to a guided meditation on YouTube, or I have an oil diffuser that I put essential oils in and kind of sets the calming mood. And I think I really respect myself and my time. And so 7 p.m., everything's off. And then I have about like 2 hours just to really decompress and check in with my body of how am I feeling? What do I need? Am I happy? What's going on? And then I go to bed at like 9 p.m. every night. So it's kind of grandma-ish, but it's just, it makes me happy and it makes me feel proud of myself. Like I put myself first. So yeah, I love the routines. I have so many other things like journaling, meditating, EFT tapping, breath work, like doing deep breathing. There's just so many things that I've instilled since I was like 13 or 14 years old that have gotten me to where I am today. But I would say the routines are the biggest thing.
Do you feel like establishing those routines have helped you, especially when it came to having anxiety episodes?
Yes, because it helps me have a sense of normalcy when I feel like something in my life is going on that's out of my control, where someone says something or something in my business happens, especially right now with everything going on. It's really scary. And it can cause so much stress and the what if thoughts for a lot of business owners of what if I, oh my gosh, and the world's going to end and the economy and la, la, la. So the routines really give me a chance to just unplug, connect back to myself. And I can just kind of rationalize with myself of, I know myself so well, so I can act like my own therapist sometimes of, okay, Megan, is what you're thinking about, worrying about, is it really possibly likely actually going to happen? Is it irrational or rational? And so the routines, they've made me super successful. Getting enough sleep is so important. Taking care of yourself, especially as a motivational speaker, it's very giving, and being on stage for hours, it's for sure, it can make me feel so drained after. Like I get home and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. So the routines have made me super successful, but also they make me happier. And they help me process things in my life where I don't know the answer, and I feel overwhelmed, or oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. That guy, these people, that they didn't text me this job opportunity. I'm upset that this didn't happen. It allows me to just process it on my own terms in the way that feels best for me. And I don't judge myself either. And I just allow the process of, going through things. But it's important for everyone to set that time and make a date with yourself, like clock off, like, an hour, 2 hours, 30 minutes, however long you have. It's just a healthy thing to do, is just to check in with yourself.
Absolutely. So from the transition of dropping out of college,
yeah,
you become a motivational speaker.
So when I left college, I still remember vividly calling my parents, and I was literally shaking my hands. I was like, Mom, Dad, I don't think I want to be in college. I mean, at first I told them I wasn't happy, and they were like, okay, well, maybe try to stick it out. Maybe, I don't know, just, it's going to be okay. This could just be anxiety. I'm not sure. And then I also had a health scare, which was really crazy, happened at the same time, when I wasn't happy, which to me was a sign of, well, is this happening for a bigger reason? Because I'm not happy in school, and now my body is kind of giving out. And so, my parents were really supportive though, and they were very understanding. So I would say my health scare happened in January of 2016. And then by May of 2016, I was feeling a lot better. I, was on the mend. And then by by June, July of 2016, I knew really what I wanted to do. And that was because when I was sick, I wrote a bucket list. You know, I thought I'm going to be sick forever. I don't know what's going on. I kept on getting misdiagnosed by doctors. And then I wrote a bucket list, literally, what do I want to do? If I had one day where I felt better and had more energy, what would I want to do? You know, there's no limit, no amount of money, no self-doubt, no, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not skinny enough, just nothing holding me back. What would I do for one day? And it was like, I want to write a book. I want to start a YouTube channel. I want to, go to dance classes. I want to be a hip hop teacher. All of these cool things. And it was so crazy because once I got better, I realized, wait, what I had wanted with this health scare, if I had one day in this bucket list, it actually came true. So I was like, I need to hold myself accountable to this and actually see it happening. So I dove headfirst into the bucket list. I was like, I have my health back. And that for me, it was enough to make that change of, I can't go back to college. This is how I have my health back. I'm better. I need to just follow my passions because
right?
I literally threw my body all in, and it was the best time of my life. My parents, thankfully, they financially supported me during that time, which I feel so lucky about. So I was able to kind of go on a little mini journey of, what is Megan like? Do I like this? Do I like acting? Do I like dancing? Do I like singing? Do I like, whatever it may be. And then I really noticed, so I went to a lot of Toastmaster public speaking meetings, which I love Toastmasters.
Let me ask you about that. So let me ask you this, because I can kind of relate to you in that sense.
Yeah.
I've kind of been going through before I started the podcast, kind of going through a transition where I said, I kind of want to get into motivational speaking.
Yeah.
My thinking was, maybe I should join a Toastmaster. So was that kind of like what you went through? And is that like your first experience to public speaking? Was it Toastmasters?
Yes. So I love Toastmasters. I highly recommend it. Growing up, I did do a lot of drama and acting classes in school. So even elementary school, middle school, high school, I was always involved in the school plays and everything. So I did have a little bit of a background before Toastmasters of being on stage, performing, acting. So I always loved it. And then Toastmasters kind of reignited that love for just, entertaining other people and the power of storytelling and how powerful it is that we all, we all have the power to transform other people's lives and the power of, our words can literally alter the course of someone's lives. I just think that that's the most powerful thing in the world is the effect we have on other people and that domino effect of just positive energy. So Toastmasters was amazing. I did it here in LA. And I also I spoke at a lot of YMCA's, Boys and Girls Clubs, for free. Just to start. I just started. I didn't,
right?
Yes. I didn't worry about, in the beginning, I wasn't worried about making money or, should I wait or what if. My parents were just like, Megan, just start, just do it. So I spoke at YMCA's, Boys and Girls Clubs, for free. It was, literally like 5 kids in this, it wasn't anything fancy. I was like, I'm passionate about this. So I don't care, it's just purely out of passion. So I also spoke at so many random things. I'm proud of myself looking back because I didn't care. I didn't judge myself. I spoke at PTA meetings. at Rotary clubs, Chamber of Commerce of the city of Santa Monica meetings. I would just put up there's just so many websites where you can put up if you're a freelancer like Upwork or any type of looking for job. And I would post, public speaker looking for opportunities. I made a YouTube channel. I just didn't stop. Like I just kept on going. I kept on hustling. And then it's so crazy because it took to get my first TEDx talk, that took 2 years. I sent in literally 6 applications every single day.
Just for TED?
Just for TED.
Wow. And how many, if you don't mind me asking, how many no's did you get before you were able to speak on stage?
I got, let's see. So for 2 years, I sent in 6 applications, and I was just applying. If you apply to a TEDx talk, basically, they're all over the whole world. So I was applying to ones in Russia and Africa. I just didn't care. So I got about, I would say, like 6 applications for 2 years. That's so many. I don't even know the number, but I would say I got probably like 200 no's.
Wow.
And then a lot of just no responses. And then for 2 years later, in March of 2019, I finally got one response back. And it took so long, and I can't tell you how many phone calls I had with my mom of crying, being like, I'm never going to do it. I wanted a TEDx talk so bad because as a public speaker, motivational speaker, it adds a lot of credibility and it helps you, reach that next level. I was like relentless. I just did not give up, and I just hustled, and I didn't care. I didn't compare myself to other people. I didn't, sit and think, oh, well, Tony Robbins, I don't know if I remember. I went out. I was like, I'm not going to waste my time, comparing my life to someone else's or someone who's at a different place in their career journey. This is where I am now, and I'm going to make the best of it. And I wanted it to happen. So I finally got it. And then basically that TEDx talk, that was, I think everything happens for a reason. So I think for those 2 years, I was speaking, anywhere for free, sometimes being paid. I was also building my social media following, which helped a lot. I would basically, at that time, I didn't have any paid sponsorships or collaborations with any companies. So I would take photos, I would buy an outfit from Target or something, a brand that I loved, healthy food. I would take a cute picture with that brand, and then I would post it and, say my favorite healthy, granola bar. I love this guy. This is my favorite. And then I would tag them, and then they would repost me. So I sort of kept on doing it over. Like I just noticed that they would repost, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. I got
secrets, huh?
It's my secret. Yeah. I just noticed that I would get 5 more followers, and I'm like, wait, this is interesting. So then I kept on doing that for basically, I feel like that's honestly how I got to where I am today. I'm not kidding. I kept on using social media and the power of tagging companies and tagging influencers, tagging people who I wanted to meet, whether they were authors or speakers, and just like making myself known. I also went to so many networking events and just anything, like I just did it, and I kept on being consistent. And I think it's just the power of having a positive energy and just showing up and like being someone that people want to work with. It's just huge. And yeah, I just never gave up. And I still just I don't compare my journey to other people's journey, which I think has helped me because I kind of keep the blinders on, and I don't really stop and scroll for hours of, oh my gosh, this YouTuber speaker is doing this, because I'm like, well, how is that going to help me? It's not, unless I want to collaborate with them and record a video with them, sure. But I'm very aware of every single person, even Oprah Winfrey, even like, the high up, whatever, like everyone has their own journey of how they got to where they are. Everyone has their own origins, their own genetic makeup. And because to me, it triggers that, like, little 16-year-old Megan who was like, oh my gosh, my arms are pale and my forehead's big and my this, because I know that it's not productive. But yeah, it's been, I don't know. Yeah.
So knowing what you know now and everything that you have gone through, what advice would you give your younger self?
Oh my gosh. Like my teenage self?
I'd say your teenage self.
The advice I would give my teenage self, I would say don't be so hard on yourself. And I would say just enjoy the moment, because I used to be so worried about, what does that person think about me? And do these people like me? But if they don't like me, I just felt like when I was younger, I was never present, grounded in the moment. I was constantly, like, my wheels were always turning of, and if these people, what if they don't like me? And then what if I say that? And then what if I'm too much? And then what if I was always just so worried about what other people thought about me. And am I enough? And what if I'm not enough? What if I get rejected? What if these people don't like me? So I would just tell my younger self, love yourself. Don't be so hard on yourself, and just practice enjoying the present moment, and know that there's only so much you can control, and there's so much that is just out of our individual control. It's up to, God, universe, other people, whatever you want to call it. But I would just, love yourself. I feel like I was so hard on myself all the time, and I was so judgy of my body, and I was so hard on myself and critical. So I think I just wish I spent more time having fun in the moment and enjoying my own moment, and not wishing this person was here, or if that was there, then this would be better. But just respecting, who I am.
I think that's important, being more intentional and being more present.
Yes.
And I think it's something that we all could practice on a day.
Yes.
So I need to ask you, what is next?
Yes. So I have a lot of fun stuff coming up. I'm currently working on my 4th book. I'm really excited because my first 3 books I self-published them all on Amazon. I was passionate about the idea, so I just wanted to get it out there, and I wasn't worried about, how am I going to find a literary agent and a publisher and an editor and an illustrator. I just got to work, did it, because I knew I had this idea and I wanted to get it out into the world, and I did it the best way I knew how. So I just did it. And then now I feel lucky that I'm at the point where I have the financial means and I can afford a literary agent and to have a ghostwriter. So it's someone who I tell them my ideas and then they write it for me. And then, so I'm excited because this book is all about my health scare that I had when I was 20. And then it's just my life awakening of me awakening to my purpose on earth, and just that kind of transitional period of, pre-health scare, and then what it taught me even though it was a really hard time in my life, it taught me these priceless lessons that I know I just needed it though. I didn't want it to happen to me, but I needed it because it allowed me to just have time to reflect and get to know myself and, well, what makes me happy? And, well, I don't know what to do. But so fourth book on its way. And I'm pumped up too, because I have a whole, book launch party I'm planning at a local yoga studio in Santa Monica. I also have I was just on Fox News in Austin, Texas.
I saw that.
Yeah, that was really pumped. Super exciting. I was there for South by Southwest, and then it got canceled with the corona. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make the best out of this opportunity. And I got myself on Fox News. And I personally, I don't have an agent or a manager or a publicist or anything. And I like to make that known too to the teenagers of, I'm the one doing every single thing. I'm my own agent, manager, all that stuff. So I like to just tell teenagers, you guys, don't use, I don't have enough money as an excuse. You can make it happen. And don't worry about that stuff. That will happen when it's meant to. Don't pause and waste what you have now, the ideas and the excitement. Don't worry about, but I have to have an 8. No, you don't. No, a lot of people, models and people I've interviewed, it's 2020. A lot of them just use social media to get a following, and then people invite you to events and they, oh, you're an influencer now because you have, 20,000 followers. So you're a YouTuber. So it's just really exciting. I also am launching my own podcast this week.
I saw that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It's called Reaching New Heights. The title says it all. It's literally about reaching new heights and how we can always do that as human beings, regardless of age or, I'm too old to, change career, or just how we're always evolving and, mentally, physically, emotionally. And I also have, I just have a lot of more speaking gigs coming up, which I'm super pumped about because it's just exciting. Like the tumbleweed effect of in the beginning, it's like a snowball at the top of a hill. It starts off tiny and you're like, come on, come on. I want to get the ball rolling. I want to get that consistent, getting 10 to 15 speaking gigs a month. I want to get paid. I want that, but it's a process. And it sounds annoying to say because it's not really what people want to hear. Everyone wants that overnight, I'm a multi-billionaire. It is just a process though. It's a process of getting your name out there, having a reputation of, being someone that people want to work with and being known. So it's a journey and it's a process, but now I'm excited because this year, just, my social media following has gone up on my YouTube channel and everything. And it's just the slow getting myself out there more. So I have a lot of more paid speaking gigs, which I'm really excited about, just more consistent of what I wanted. I get to travel. In October of this year, I got invited to speak at this youth summit in Louisiana. So I'm really excited to travel. That's something I always prayed for and wanted. So now it's happening. So, it's just, I feel like I'm in a really good place right now. I'm riding this wave of just all this hard work and just going crazy. And now everything is just kind of falling into place. And I feel that. So I feel really proud. And I have a lot of good stuff coming up.
Excited. I'm so excited. So if you can, just tell our viewers where they can contact you, whether it's social media, YouTube, website.
Yes. So I have basically every social media you can think of. I have it. So I have Facebook, I have LinkedIn, I have Twitter, I have TikTok, I have Instagram, I have literally everything. I have like a YouTube channel. I have a website. It's meganwgallagher.com. So MEGANW, my middle name, GALLAGHER.com. And that's also my handle on Instagram. And on my website too, I have the link to all my books. That's probably the easiest place. It's my blog, my books, you can contact me if you want me to speak at a school of yours. Everything. Yeah. And I also have email, motivational talks with Megan at gmail.com. So yeah, that's like probably the best place. Also Instagram, I always answer my DMs and comments, but yeah, I'm everywhere.
That is awesome. I just want to say thank you so much, Megan, for your time and for sharing your story on the Unbreakables podcast. And I'm excited to see where you go and your journey expand, because I think it's great, just taking a leap of faith and trusting the process and going all in and being true to yourself. And I think if anything, like, you're leading by example and you're showing those around you, these teenagers, the youth and adults, like, look, anything is possible. You just got to be persistent and be consistent at the same time. So I really, really I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay. I mean, that's so much fun. And thank you for having me on your podcast. It's an absolute honor. And I feel really lucky that I just get to share my story. And hopefully, I really believe that people cross paths for a reason. And just that like cool thing about life, that domino effect of positivity. And I hope that my story can hopefully inspire someone who just, wants to make a change or something, and then they can inspire someone else. And that's all I could ever ask for, is just spreading that uplifting self-esteem of like, wait, I can do anything. Because to me, that's how everyone's, like, the people we all look up to are heroes, like Oprah, this person, that person, that person. I mean, they're all just people, and they all just started. So
they started somewhere, literally.
Right? You just start. And I think that's just the best thing in the world, is just having that positive effect on other people and knowing that it could change someone's life. So thank you for having me.
I'm so excited for this. And, we'll definitely stay in contact.